Descartes is one of those guys who makes your head explode with his thoughts. He has a dialogue that I'll share with you, where he suddenly asks, "How do you know that you exist?" "What do you mean? How do I know I exist?" "I'm here. I exist. It's obvious." "Obvious? Nothing is obvious to Descartes." "Well, I know I exist because I'm seeing, breathing and feeling things." "Ah, but in a dream you also see, breathe and feel things. So, if I can't say something exists just because I see and feel it, how can I prove something exists? That's the point. You can't prove anything exists. You can't even prove that you exist. The only thing I can prove that exists is my doubt, since I'm doubting." Where are you going with this? If I'm doubting, consequently I'm thinking, so if I think, therefore I am. This was just one of Descartes' many brilliant ideas. He not only revolutionized philosophy, but also profoundly influenced modern science. Today, we will learn about one of the greatest thinkers in history and discover how his ideas continue to shape the world. Today, we will explore the life and legacy of René Descartes. To understand Descartes' philosophy, it's necessary to know the context in which he lived. At the end of the Middle Ages and the beginning of the modern age, the world was in chaos, as everything that was believed to be right and safe began to crumble. René Descartes was born in France in 1596 and died in 1650. He is the man behind Cartesian thought, which, as the name suggests, comes from Descartes himself. He is considered the father of modern philosophy and rationalism, and wrote important works such as Discourse on the Method, a philosophical and mathematical treatise that is a true milestone. Descartes studied law and had a scholastic education. But what is that? Scholastic education was a type of education very popular in the Middle Ages, focused on theology and philosophy based on Aristotle's ideas. Basically, scholars tried to understand and explain faith using logic and reason. But Descartes soon realized that this approach was not enough. He believed that only mathematics could demonstrate what was truly credible. In 1618, he began to study mathematics deeply, and by the age of 22, he was already formulating his analytical geometry and his method of correct reasoning. He broke with Aristotelian thought, which was highly revered in universities at the time. Aristotle, that famous Greek philosopher everyone loved, had dominated academic thought for centuries. Descartes, however, wanted something new and proposed a science that was unitary and universal, laying the foundations of the modern scientific method. Descartes lived in an era full of heated debates about how we truly know the world. On one side was rationalism, which basically said, reason is everything. Thinking and using logic are the paths to understanding the universe. On the other side was empiricism, which countered, not at all, it's experience, what we see, hear, touch, and feel that gives us true knowledge. To understand better, imagine the Middle Ages as a period when everyone believed all knowledge came from God. This is what we call theocentrism. But when we reach modernity, the Renaissance thinkers began to turn the tables. They brought humanism, which put the human being at center stage. Instead of just looking to the sky for answers, they began to value the human ability to create and transform the world around them. In the Middle Ages, knowledge was dictated by faith, tradition, and the authority of the church. But with the arrival of modernity, people began to value reason, observation, and experience. This new way of thinking made people question the old sources of knowledge. And that's where Descartes comes in. He wanted something more solid and reliable. So, he proposed to the Academy a new method to achieve knowledge, based on methodical doubt. He believed that to find the truth, it was necessary to doubt everything that could not be proven with absolute certainty. This is where his greatest contributions came from, forever changing the course of philosophy and science. René Descartes noticed that mathematical knowledge was always safe and reliable. For example, 2 plus 2 will always equal 4. But knowledge in philosophy and sciences was not always so secure, as new ideas and theories frequently emerged to refute or replace the previous ones. So, he thought, let's use mathematics to obtain secure knowledge in any field. That's how he created the Cartesian method, which has 4 main steps. The first step is evidence. Basically, it's about observing carefully what we are going to study. Whether it's information, news, or a problem, the point is, we can't accept something as true or false without first knowing it deeply. It's like saying, don't judge a book by its cover. We need to look more closely and carefully. The second step is analysis. Descartes suggests dividing the information into smaller parts and studying each one separately. Instead of trying to understand everything at once, we break the complex into simpler parts. For example, if you have a puzzle, it's easier to solve one piece at a time than to try to fit everything at once. Descartes believed that by breaking a problem down, it becomes easier to solve. The third step is synthesis. After dividing the information, it's time to put it back together in an orderly manner, according to its difficulty or complexity. We start by solving the simpler issues and then move on to the more complex ones. Think of it like building a house. First, you lay the basic bricks and then move on to the more complicated parts like decoration. Finally, the fourth step is enumeration. Here, it's crucial to review and ensure that nothing was forgotten. We must do general and complete reviews to make sure all parts are connected and that all steps were followed correctly. It's like doing a final check before submitting an important work. You want to make sure everything is in place and nothing was overlooked. After elaborating these 4 steps, Descartes began to think about what he could really trust to achieve true knowledge. He asked himself, is there a truth so evident that it cannot be questioned? To answer this question, he used a method called hyperbolic doubt, where he doubted everything to get to the truth, suspending judgment and not taking anything as true or false without first analyzing all possible arguments. First, Descartes doubted the senses. He argued that we cannot fully trust our senses, touch, sight, smell, taste, and hearing, because they deceive us. For example, if you look at the moon with the naked eye, it may seem very small, but we know it's much bigger. Another example is when you put a pen in a glass of water and it looks like the pen is broken due to the effect of refraction. These examples show that the senses can deceive us about what is true. Next, Descartes raised the hypothesis that our entire reality could be a dream. What if everything we experience is just a dream? There is no way to prove that we are really awake or that we are not dreaming right now. This argument shows how difficult it is to fully trust our perception of reality. To take doubt to the extreme, Descartes proposed the evil genius argument. Imagine an extremely powerful and evil entity that constantly deceives us, making us believe in a false reality. What if all our beliefs, even mathematical ones, were manipulated by this genius? This puts into doubt even the knowledge we consider most secure. From these doubts, Descartes arrived at the famous conclusion: I think, therefore I am. Cogito, ergo sum in Latin. He realized that doubt is a type of thought, and thought only exists in our mind. If I doubt, I am thinking. If I am thinking, then I have a mind. Therefore, if I think I exist, or at least my mind exists, we can doubt everything except our capacity to think. Therefore, this capacity to doubt proves that we exist. The Cartesian method is one of the historical foundations for the scientific method. Descartes emphasized the importance of reason and logic above the senses. He believed that rationality is the key to achieving secure and true knowledge. Descartes suspected that much of the knowledge taught in universities and traditions could be wrong because people did not verify their foundations. His systematic and critical approach helped shape not only philosophy, but also the progress of science. Although his contributions were revolutionary, not all of his ideas were well received. One of the biggest criticisms of his work is his attempt to prove the existence of God. Descartes argued that the idea of perfection and infinity in our minds must come from a perfect and infinite being, that is, God. He thought that since we are imperfect, we could not have these ideas on our own. So, for him, the existence of God was the only explanation. But many philosophers find this proof unconvincing. They say that just because we have the idea of perfection in our heads, it doesn't mean that something perfect really exists. It's like imagining a perfect superhero. Just because you can think of him doesn't mean he actually exists. This flaw shows that Descartes, in his quest for a secure foundation for his ideas, sometimes forced conclusions. Despite these criticisms, Descartes' contributions to philosophy and science are undeniable. He taught us the importance of questioning, analyzing, and seeking the truth with rigor. And even when his conclusions were not perfect, the Cartesian method remains a powerful tool for critical thinking, even being used against his own arguments. From questioning his own existence to formulating a method that became the backbone of modern scientific thought, Descartes completely revolutionized the way we see the world. He taught us to doubt, to question, and to seek the truth with unprecedented rigor. In the final part of his story, I feel that Descartes experienced existentialism in an unprecedented way, playing chess against his own subconscious and, in a way, cheating. He fought a deep internal battle, seeking to uncover the most fundamental truths. At times, when facing the possibility of total uncertainty, he preferred to cheat rather than let himself lose. An example of this is his attempt to prove the existence of God, which many consider a forced attempt to secure a solid ground for his philosophical system. Still, Descartes' failures do not diminish his contributions. They show that even the greatest thinkers have their weak points, and that philosophy is a continuous quest for truth, full of questions without definitive answers. His methodical and critical approach helped shape philosophy and science, encouraging us to question old certainties and build more solid and reliable knowledge. He taught us that by questioning and carefully analyzing our beliefs, we can achieve a deeper understanding of the world and ourselves. By insisting that we must doubt everything that cannot be proven with absolute certainty, he opened our eyes to the importance of reason and logic. Today, in a world full of information and misinformation, Descartes' lesson is more relevant than ever. We need to apply his method of methodical doubt to navigate the sea of data that surrounds us, always seeking truth and clarity. René Descartes left us an immeasurable legacy, and his ideas continue to influence our way of thinking and understanding the world. To conclude, let's leave the last word to Descartes himself. To live without philosophizing is what is called having one's eyes closed without ever trying to open them. May we follow this advice and continue to seek the truth with an open and critical mind. If you enjoyed this, subscribe to the channel and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you want to elevate your knowledge about philosophy applied to your life, this is for you. I won't change your life, but no one will. The difference is that I don't promise you that. What I will change is your knowledge about life. And then, what you do with it is up to you. Explore the evolution of philosophical thought, from the earliest times to the present day. Meet the great thinkers, their revolutionary ideas, and how to apply them to fundamental questions of human existence. Mental health, happiness, relationships, and purpose in life. If you seek answers to life's big questions, or simply wish to better understand the human condition, this ebook is the key you've been looking for. Click the link below to purchase now and start your journey towards knowledge that truly matters. Leave the cave. The link is in the pinned comment. Thank you for staying with us, and see you next time.